All right, on the podcast today, guys, we're going to do something just a little bit different. We, as you may or may not know, the SCA World Championships just happened this weekend. Some of us watched it from home and others were there. So we got three of the folks that were actually there experiencing the whole thing. And we just kind of wanted to chat about the weekend and just kind of wrap up this whole SCA tangent we've been on.
Right.
We've had like
a long one.
Yeah. So just kind of wrap it up with the World Championships, maybe a couple of tips here and there, and talk steak for a little while. But on the podcast, we do have Will Collier. He's back again. We have a newcomer to the podcast, Nate Benson, who you probably heard on us talk about on the podcast before. And, of course, Jerry Aguilar, who I talk on the podcast about every single day. And it's kind of weird.
The only Tesla competitor out there.
Right? So, guys, let's just start right now with you, Nate, since you're the newcomer to the podcast. You won your golden ticket, and you actually won one just recently, so you're going next year as well. Tell us about how you won it, and just tell us about that day when you won your first golden ticket.
Yeah, so I was cooking. I'd been focusing a lot on ancillaries, really, because at the time I was in the top 10. And yeah, I had I remember I was 27th pick out of about 35 teams, I think. And couldn't find a Tri-Heart that I liked, picked a Spinalis. Went and cooked it, felt good about it, turned it in, and ended up winning.
Was it a surprise then? Did you feel good about the steak?
I did feel really good about the steak. I thought it was one of the better ones I'd cooked. So
you've recently changed your recipe since then, right?
No, I haven't changed since June. It was 2 comps before that I changed my recipe to what it is really now.
You've just been rolling with that ever since?
Yeah.
So what is it step by step?
What is it step by step?
Yeah.
How much detail do you want?
I want all of it.
All of it.
We want to get it away.
This is for the people that are coming into barbecue, so we got to help them out.
So if you guys don't know, let me give you a little history about Nate. Nate came on the scene pretty hardcore. We were all kind of working in Utah trying to get the SCAs going. So it was kind of like it was kind of weird at first, you know. Nate kind of came out of that crew, kind of more consistent, one of the more consistent cooks in Utah. Not only with steak, but ancillaries, you were actually rated top 10 in the ancillary categories. So you do all ancillaries, sometimes multiple. He was going for the series championship here in Utah. We have a barbecue pit stop series champion. We do 6 or 7 contests, and the winner of those point-wise will, win. And Nate was basically the shoe-in for the ancillary, but then he got sick on the championship day and was passed up by Dave Grover. Otherwise, probably no disrespect to Dave, but probably would have won.
And Jerry Aguilar.
And Jerry.
Don't forget him.
Well, I don't honestly right now, Jerry and Lupe, that's otherworldly, that food.
Yeah.
Nate's is awesome, really good too. I've had all of Nate's food that he ever cooks, and Nate's and I travel a lot to different competitions, so I get to taste all the food. But you kind of came out pretty consistent, and then because you changed your recipe. What made you change it? What did you look for what makes you change your steak recipe?
So the reason I changed my steak recipe is I was using like 7 rubs, and I just tasted it one time and decided all I could taste was rubs, and I didn't like it. So I backed off and I really simplified it. And that was key for me because like I say, there was too much. So.
Mm-hmm. So do you use the same combo? You just took out 2 or 3, 4 different combinations?
I really only use 2 rubs, and then I use some stuff that I put together to augment it.
Cool. And you just made the switch over to M grills from PKs. So
I did.
You cooked on that for the very first time in Worlds, right?
Correct.
So
don't know how smart that was, but
you did well. I mean, you didn't really make the finals in the championship, but the next day in the Open, you took what was it,
20th out of 152,
which is amazing,
right?
So that's cool. I don't think I'd have the balls to all of a sudden just go get an M grill and just cook on it for world champions, but I'm not Nate Benson, so
Yeah. But what about Jerry Aguilar? Jerry, when did you get your ticket? I know you won a double back-to-back golden tickets in Vegas. Did you get a ticket before that?
No, let's talk about that for a second. Hold on, Jerry. We talked about this, and I think that wherever that was, they're going to build a statue to you with both of your, awards, because you took using 2 different recipes, did a double in Las Vegas, and took first place both A and B. And that was a stacked field. I mean, you had Terry Roan there, if I'm not.
I was there.
Well, some people they were kicking ass.
Oh man, hater.
So Jerry, and you're kind of new because you kind of dominated the barbecue world for a long time. You're constantly threatening the KCBS Team of the Year in lots of different ways. You're the kind of guy that goes out. These guys they cook 50 contests. You come out and cook 19, and you're like top 5 in the world. Similar that to the SCA. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but this is important. When they refigured the top 15 this year, just for fun, you were second place in the points chase. So I guess what my question is,
I think that was in points per contest.
Yeah. So if it would have happened this year, you would have been second in that category. And you had a rough start. Where did that really take off for you?
After the first couple of times, I was about to give up, and it was you that twisted my arm. So it was at second place at Ogden that's where the bug hit me. And, with no KCBS contest going on, then we decided to go hit that Utah series, and that's how we got into it. And so leading up to the Vegas contest, I was practicing a lot, and I was keeping my eyes open, my ears open, and I saw a string of people winning with DB180. And so I went onto Will's website, and I saw he had a golden ticket package. So I'm like, I want a golden ticket. So I buy it. It was 2 of his rubs, and it came with Wicked Pig. So I started practicing with that. I liked it, but I also liked my regular recipe. So I figured Vegas was going to be, I think that was my first double or second, I don't know, but I figured it's 2 steaks, so I'll practice each one, or cook 1 for steak A, 1 for steak B. And I ended up winning both. So after that, I'm like, shit, I don't know which recipe to go with. So,
so the truth came out.
To score. Yeah, so the higher taste score was DB180, so I stuck with it.
Nice. Finally, the truth came out here. Jerry always told me, he's like, watch what Anthony does. That's what I do. That's how I win. And it's a lie. We just found out. Now you led me on, Jerry. It's messed up.
No. That's because I had the last draw. Actually, it was AJ. I said, I'm going to channel my inner AJ. I took the last steak, but, I figure I'm going to, if your son can do it, I could do it.
Well, speaking of 15-year-olds, you're the only one that I know of that's won a double back in the same one besides that lady I think she's out of California. You know her, right?
Oh, man. What is her name?
You guys know her.
There's been a couple of other ones.
Oh, has there? Well,
there was a 14-year-old, I believe, did it.
Yeah, she has her own spices.
And she's out of
Riley.
Georgia, the steak princess. Riley.
Yeah.
Riley,
right. There's been a couple people that have done it. It's been done 2 other times. Terry Roan did it in Arkansas in 2018. And then this past year, Ryan Freese did it in Iowa. He's a DB180 cook too. So I think Jerry, Terry, Riley, and Ryan Freese are the only 4 to have ever done it.
There might be 2 more. I think Justin West and somebody up in the Pacific Northwest did it.
Nice. Well, we got to do some research, Rusty.
Well, I've asked people 100 times on the podcast to write me in and let me know.
Yeah.
And I only heard the steak princess. Not my problem.
So, no, I know Terry did it in 2018 for sure. And then Ryan Freese up in Iowa did it this past season.
Crazy.
Well, we got Will Collier chiming in. That's what's going on here.
Yeah, that's Will, if you guys don't know. But if you guys can't see the video. But so let's just transition to you, Will. Now, when you cooked in the SCA World Championship, you didn't get to move on, but I was watching it, and every single person that walked up on that stage, because what happens if you guys don't know, they'll walk up on the stage, they'll announce what cooker they're cooking on, and then maybe if they're sponsored and what rubs they use. And it was DB180. Man, I want to say half. It felt like half the people walking up that first day were DB180s, and at least 5 of the top 15, right?
Yeah, I think so, man. It was insane. And this was the first time I've ever went to a it's my 3rd world championship. So I've qualified every year I've competed, but for this, the first time being that I released DB180 in 2020, going there, I had no idea what to expect. And it started off just from like 5:40 in the morning and Friday. We were out there I was out there directing traffic, trying to coordinate and get all the DB180, the people I know that use DB180 kind of together so that we could all at least be in a similar area. And Jerry ended up actually cooking right next to my setup too, which was awesome. He came in a little later, but I had people that with trailers, we all showed up. Like we were pretty much the first ones there. And then we tried to set up trailers, and we just started saving as many canopy spots as we could, just so anybody that was using it could kind of set up around us. And from that point on, all the way through last night until the end of awards, I can't remember ever having maybe 10 minutes to myself to even think anything or do anything. It was just really humbling and insane. My wife went with me, and so she cooks. She won her golden ticket too when she was helping me test grill all. And then so she was there cooking with me, and she was telling me today too, she was like, man, I just don't understand it, I guess. Like, yeah, you make a rub, but I wouldn't think if it was me, I wouldn't be like, oh, look, this guy makes a rub. I want to go meet him. Hey, how are you? But that's kind of how it was. It was just nonstop. And it was definitely an experience that I was thankful for, but not one that I was prepared for going into it. I was just kind of thinking, all right, man, we're going to set up, and me and the 30 DB180 cooks that I know use it are all going to set up here, and we're just going to hang out. And it didn't end up being like that at all for me, but it was a really good time still. And the award ceremony was insane. Like, I mean, I was sitting up in a section with a bunch of cooks from Florida and Georgia, and then Darian Cosmo was sitting next to me, and then I had 2 other buddies sitting next to me, and we were just watching it. And it was just it seemed like every other cook, DB180. And most of the cooks I already knew. Like, I know when people use it if they tell me, and like Jerry's a sponsored cook, so I know he uses it. But there were even a couple people up there that I didn't know who I maybe had seen their names once or twice, but unless they tell me that they use it, I don't know that they use it. I don't ask people what they use, and what they use is their business. So I'm just super thankful that people even were gracious enough to stand up there and shout it out, even when maybe they're not like a sponsored team. They were just nice enough to say, yeah, I use it, because they wanted to shout it out. And it was a insane night. I didn't even care where my steak landed at that point. Like, I was so over the moon happy for everybody that was up on that stage. Like, it's just a feeling I can't really describe, but I really couldn't care less where my steak landed at that point. So it was interesting for sure.
It was crazy.
It's freaking awesome.
It was watching that. I'm like,
Yeah.
gosh, like, this is nuts. Like, I was just, I mean,
Right.
if you would have, that was just, I could have only imagined having my own rub. And it's such a flooded market right now. And it's kind of crazy to come out. And we talked about this on the podcast that you were on with us, but just to come out with a rub and have it be so successful out the gate, in all of the rub, I mean, there's billions, that people are using. And it was just DB180. And that was just every other cook that came up on that stage, it seemed. So that's nuts. That's awesome. Congratulations on that, man. That's
Right.
super cool. I feel like that's a huge accomplishment, because like I said, it's a very loud world in there.
Right.
And to come out and have so many people successful with what you're doing is probably pretty humbling.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I don't know, I get conflicting feelings about it, because like you guys say congratulations, and I can't tell you how many people were coming up to me and just shaking my hand saying congratulations and congratulations. And it's conflicting for me because I'm just thankful for the people that are using the rubs. I'm just make a rub. It's in a bottle. Those people, Jerry could go win. He won his golden ticket. He won a double header using a different recipe. These cooks can win using any rub combination that they want to use because they're badass cooks. It has nothing to do with the fact that it's DB180. That's where I'm trying to find that. I'm still so new at it, and I've taken the approach that I've taken has been like to kind of sit back and just let the cooks who want to use it. And if they want to go shout it out and represent it, I'll try and support them any way I can just to show them my gratitude for them choosing my products whenever there are so many products out there they could choose. And so far that approach has been working, and I just feel strongly about it. I want to keep the spotlight and I want to keep all the accolades on the cooks themselves and not myself, because all I did was create a rub that tastes good that I enjoyed using myself. And I just so happened to get really, really, really lucky. And a lot of great people and great cooks decided to pick it up and start using it on their own accord. And for that, I'll always be grateful to them.
That's awesome. Hey, Jerry, let's talk about that. So you went on his website and bought the golden ticket package. When you received it and you cooked with it first, did you just like know right out the gate this is going to hit? Or just talk about that experience with using the product for your very first time?
Well, one thing I want to say is the other half of my flavor profile is Lootin Booty, so that's my other sponsor, and that was on both steaks at Vegas. But one thing I found from Will's beef rub is that it gave my steak a unique steak, and it was more of a steak flavor than what I was doing. And I liked his all-purpose rub. I tasted it amongst all the similar type of rubs, and his was very balanced and not too salty. So, it made my steak a lot more balanced. And another thing I wanted to say is, one thing about Will is he's really helpful, even if you're not a sponsor team, when you reach out. So I like supporting him. He and Sterling from Lootin Booty are both veterans of our armed forces, and I like supporting businesses like that. I mean, I'm proud to use this product.
And I can attest, it's awesome. If you listen to the podcast, I use it all the time. I went through, like I said, I have a whole friggin' barbecue shop over here, and there's 2 bottles empty, and one of them's a DB180 bottle. So, and I just got more, so rearing to go. But let's just change gears for just a second. Nate, Benson, you told me you're going to start searing from now on. Is that true?
I must misrecall this conversation.
You said, and I quote, "Yes, I would love to sear the rest of my steaks to help with the sear revolution that Will is going to spearhead and get going so that we can now have another way of cooking so we're not locked down to one way of doing it." That's what I recall.
I recall a similar conversation. I was telling you that we need to have a double or something here in Utah where one of the steaks has to be seared that we can start getting these judges used to a seared steak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Utah, I think they're pretty well used to it. I know that a lot of us are going to do it this year. But I know that you're kind of on the fence. I know that Jerry, and this is true. What I'm about to say is true.
Oh, here we go.
Jerry did say he was going to sear a steak.
We got that on video.
We got that on video.
Yeah, we have that on video.
Jerry, is that still true? Are you a man of your word?
I'll do my version of a seared steak.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Is that how it goes now?
Hey, speaking of Sear Revolution, I got to do a shameless plug. You can get your Sear Revolution shirts at the pitmasterpodcast.com, by the way.
If you want one.
If you want one, yeah.
That has Pitmasters on the front and Sear on the back.
Yep.
So, Rusty, I did actually sear the backside of one steak in one competition down in Arizona where I did a double.
Said
and I took 16th.
16's not bad.
You would have done the top side as well. It probably put you in.
They probably would have won in that case. Yeah. But Will, this is why I want to lead this up to this. Will, and I'm putting you on the spot. What is your what are you doing this year for searing?
I think I'm pretty dedicated to. I was looking at my schedule and kind of looking at what I've cooked so far this year. I don't cook a whole lot of single competitions with like SCA. There's almost no singles anymore. The only singles you see are like Friday night contests at KCBS. So most of the contests I'm doing are going to be at least doubles. And at every double I do in 2021, I'm going to sear one and I'll grill one. Or I might feel frisky and sear both, but I'm not going to grill both steaks at a double anymore. So from here to the end of the season, any double I cook, I'm going to cast iron sear at least one steak for a turn in, and then I'll grill, or I might cast iron sear the other, but the sear will be definitely going in at least one of the contests at the doubles that I do.
So I've talked to a couple people about your class, and I've talked them into buying the class, and every single person gets back to me and says that they're so happy they bought it for the biggest reason is that they have two ways of cooking a steak. So you were able to do on the Barbecue Champs Academy, your class, you do a grilled steak and then you do a seared steak. And I, with Jeff Moody last year, we're trying to figure out the right way to do it. He had his own way. I had my own way. And it was just kind of inconsistent. And then I watched your class and it just clicked. And man, I've been crushing seared steak, and it's almost automatic now. So if you guys are thinking about searing, and you know, searing is searing. It's not hard. But to get it to look great, to be tender, and really to be the doneness right, this class is going to put you way ahead of the curve. So
do we know how many seared steaks walked the stage this weekend?
I don't know if anyone has dared to do it. I know one guy did in the open. I don't think it open.
I don't think anybody walked with the full sear. I heard that there were 3 turned in for the opening round, but I don't know who did it. It was just something that I heard. So I'm not sure how true it is, but one judge came to me after the open contest and told me that his table had 3 seared steaks in it. So I think there were probably 10 to 15 seared steaks, I would guess, in that open. I mean, you're talking 300 teams. So out of 300, there were probably 10 or 15, I would think. Just within my DB180 group, I seared mine, and then Chris Villegas out of Amarillo, Texas, bought cast iron skillet that morning and came over to me, and he's like, I want to do it. I just want to do it. It's the open. There's 150 whatever people. I just want to go for it and do it. And he did it. It looked great too. Yeah, Jerry got to try my practice steak on my sear.
And I bet that guy's still cleaning out his seared his pan.
It wasn't seasoned.
I finally got to mine seasoned where I could sear a steak and just rub it out. But man, my first go, holy cow! Jerry, was it everything you thought it would be?
It was good. It was gushing with juices. I had to go over them. Like, I said, "Oh, was that juicy?" And he's like, "Yep."
So did it inspire you? So what is the Jerry Aguilar seared version? What does that look like?
I like it straight fire.
You been talking about like caveman style?
Not on the coals, but just above a really hot fire.
Oh, okay. Would it be a reverse sear situation?
That or the other way. I don't know. I'd have to practice.
And Nate, since he promised he would do one, Nate, what are you going to do when you're sear?
I like the live fire idea.
That would be cool, actually. Right. I don't know how you get the color, though, on that. Because if you guys go to Will's Facebook page and look at his recently posted picture of his seared on a practice, man, that wasn't a practice. That was a straight up contest.
That was a turn-in, yeah.
That was a turn-in, and it's beautiful, man. I don't know how you would get that over live fire, though. Unless I know, but I'm not up to Jerry Aguilar's level quite yet. So I'm sure he has a plan. So you're talking about okay, so Jerry, you said you would. I'm holding you to it. When are you going to do it? When do you think?
Do you want me to post that video again on our Instagram?
Yes. Everyone go look to our Instagram. You'll see the video of Jerry Aguilar saying that he will sear a steak.
Will do. I'll get that going in the next couple of days.
And then I want everyone to shame him every time he sees it until we say that he has done it, and then you guys can let off. But
if I could get a golden ticket and relax after that, I'll do a sear steak.
So did that Arizona one, was that for this one? I thought that was for next year. Oh, the Vegas
Which
one. I'm
one?
sorry, the Vegas.
Vegas was for
this year.
this year.
Well,
Okay.
for this one.
All right, sorry, I got that wrong. So Jerry, you did walk the stage in that first round. You took, I want to say, was it second on your
Second.
second on your? And that was a group. That was crazy. That group was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of like, with a 246, and then Jerry's day was like with a 250 something, like that was a lot. That the scores there were really, really high. Did you feel good about your stake? Like, how did you feel going into that contest?
I felt good about it, but I just wasn't sure of the doneness because, I've never cooked in that humidity, and based on my practice one, I went another degree, and I got a 50 in doneness.
Wow!
But it was a little different.
Well,
yeah.
You're nodding your head on the humidity comment. Can you chime in on that just a little bit on how that affects your cook, especially for people who are traveling to somewhere like that for the first time?
Well,
Yeah, so-
but that's just. Oh, sorry.
Can't say you. There's three people here.
I thought I said Will.
No, you said you.
Did I?
Okay.
My bad.
Yeah, you're bad. It's your.
I heard Will, but
Yeah, Nate. See,
Yeah, Nate got my back.
no, Nate's got my back. Are you drunk, sir?
I'm coming off COVID. I'm not all the way there.
I'm sitting 2 feet away from you. Go ahead.
No, so Will, how is it like for somebody like Jerry to come to somewhere that has high humidity? You've probably cooked in it quite a bit traveling, so
Yeah.
the new experience
So,
cooking in that.
well, and with as humid as it was there, I even the only way I was able to find some time for myself, we went out to lunch. Hasty Bake held first, and then we came back, and I even ran a practice on Friday just because it was so humid there. But I had to zip all four walls on my canopy up because it was just people were just all around, and then people still just came into the canopy while I was there. Like, hey, Will, you in there? But I was able to get a practice in, and it does affect it affects the temps that you pull at. We both ran practices. Me and Ty Higgins, he's a DB180 cook that I cook with there. He made the final round too. We both set up on Friday in the canopy and just did a practice cook, looked at pole temps just to kind of cut open some steaks and see, what was happening to them. And that humidity in my, through the practices, we were having to go up 1 to 2 degrees off of what we would normally go. When we were pulling at our normal temps and cutting them open, they almost looked under. So for our particular practice ones, we had to go another 1 or 2 degrees over what we would normally pull.
And Nate, talking about humidity, we have none here. We're in desert climate. We're at 4,600 feet in the air. And I think Fort Worth is nothing. Was it a difficult cook for you? Did you notice any difference in anything I don't even know how you would know because you cooked on a whole new cooker. So everything was probably different for you, but how was that cook for you going down 4,000 feet?
it definitely cooked quicker than it does up here. That's for sure. And then part of that was the new cooker was kind of a fun experience. Remind me not to do that again next year. But, so my main thing there is because of a number of things, I think I cooked not to lose, and I was all over the place. So I didn't cook very well on Saturday. I had a rough go. And, a lot of that was getting used to, there was the humidity, the elevation, the new grill. It was just a lot.
Because it was
the experience as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being there for the first time was
Right.
probably getting in your head a little bit.
Yeah. I was in the later group. And so I was talking to a lot of the earlier group, and, they'd say stuff, and so I ended up, instead of looking for what I liked, I ended up trying to look for, avoid what they said they didn't like. And it just threw me off. but it was a good experience. Sunday we had a better cook. We focused in and just cooked. Didn't really even think about it. Just kind of cooked.
All kind of came together that second time around. But you kind of didn't have a choice because the way you got down there, in order for you to go, you couldn't really have a cooker, and you've been wanting an M16 for a while, so you finally pulled the trigger on it. But Travis McGee actually hooked you up down there, so that's kind of how you were able to really go. So you really didn't have too much choice unless you want to drive down yourself.
Yeah, well, I could have borrowed a cooker out of Arizona, and Kyle would have pulled it over there for me, but ended up deciding to do Van Grills.
Yeah. Speaking of Kyle.
Yeah, say his last name for him.
Mataszewski.
Mataszewski.
What? It's Mataszewski, sir. Represent.
Mataszewski? Oh
my God.
Okay.
You people are noobs. He took second in ancillaries, and then he walked to stage 2. Yep. So he double timed it down. Yeah, it took second, I think, on his table.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure second in his color.
So that's pretty cool. But Jerry, going back to that, did you expect to get called? Because I know you were worried about that at all. So was that just like a complete surprise?
As they went down, once they got past like 5th, I was, that's it. I'm not getting called. So I was kind of surprised to get second in that group. And I also happy to hear 2 other Californians get top 10 in that same group. Steve Conway and Rob from Frogsoft.
Oh yeah. And Steve walked. That was awesome. That was so cool. He's killing it right now. Right? He's also a DB180 cook.
Yeah. Steve stayed at my house on the way down. He actually went to visit he has a new grandbaby, and they were driving from California to North Carolina, and he Facebooked me and just mentioned that. And I said, well, are you driving through Oklahoma? And he said, well, yeah. I said, well, are you going to drive through Tulsa? Yeah. I said, well, where were you going to stay at? And they were going to try and make it and stay at Fort Smith. So that's only an hour and 45 minutes from me, and I'm right in between. So I just invited him and his wife over, and they actually came, stayed the night on the way down. And then when we all set up down there on at the championship, it was, sorry, I'm shaking. It was me at my setup. Steve was right there with us, and then Jerry's canopy was hooked to Steve's canopy. So we were all just right there in a group together.
Dang. It's like a murderer's row.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like all your idols lined up together there.
Yeah, Steve, he actually, when he switched over to DB180, he started doing really well. He's been killing it lately. Good guy. Me and Nate went down and we had lunch with him and Matt, and man, we closed that place down. He's a good dude. So
super good guy. Really, really good guy.
It's fun hanging out with those guys.
He offered me like his son's old like skateboarding stuff for AJ, and I was like, that you can't be a better person than that, like, hey, don't even know the kid, but let's get him some stuff. And I was like, no, he doesn't go downhill that fast, so we're good.
He made me a boomerang, and I was like, all right, well, let me go try it.
Do you know how to throw a boomerang, Will?
Steve said I could get you throwing one within 30 minutes if you come out here with me. So fun fact about Steve, he used to make the boomerangs on the show Survivor for the challenges. So he made me a boomerang, and then I went and tried to throw it, and it ended up in our lagoon. But my golden retriever jumped the fence and went and got it for me. And then so it's detoxing now. But I'll try it again when it's less windy.
He said he cut off a huge tree branch and just whittled that damn thing, because that's tough as hell. Tell me.
I wish you did that. I don't know how he made it, but it was pretty cool. He kind of showed me how, and he made 2. So one for like a bigger one and a smaller one. So me and my son, my 8-year-old, went out and he wanted to throw it, and he threw it and almost came right back to him first throw. I threw mine. It went like across the street, and then the wind took it all the way down into the lagoon, which is it's pretty far away. So Steve said, pro tip on boomerang throwing, if you can fly a kite, then you don't want to throw a boomerang. So I guess boomerangs and wind don't mix too well in Oklahoma. is about as windy as it was in Fort Worth. So Fort Worth was crazy. It was nonstop wind, and the dust was just blowing around all over the place.
So what's the proper way to throw a boomerang? Just curious.
You have to keep your there. It has. I don't know if I've never been to Australia, Mike, but I don't know if all of the boomerangs have different colors. But the one he made me has different colors on it, and the ends of it are green. And he said the ends of it are green, and he said just to pinch you have to hold your hands like that, or you have to hold it at the green part with your thumb, and when you throw it, you know the boomerang's shaped kind of like a L. You would actually point it not with the curve facing where you're throwing it. You throw it opposite, so the opening of the L would face into the wind. So you have to find which way the wind's blowing, and then you throw it into the wind, and you throw it at a 45-degree angle, and then you just throw it like a baseball, and you throw it out to the right. I guess he said don't throw it sidearmed. You just got to kind of come at it. He explained it to me in my living room for about 30 minutes, and then throw it, and then it goes out to the right, comes back, and then you kind of see where it lands, and then you go try and adjust it, and then throw it, further that way to try and see if you could catch it. But yeah, so the opening is what you face towards the wind, and then you throw it at a 45-degree angle. I was thinking I probably would have, faced the curved part towards and just thrown it to try and see it. And that's probably why I just never threw a boomerang. So.
Fun fact number 2.
Interesting stuff.
So here we go.
I am the greatest paper airplane folder on the planet.
No,
Absolutely.
no way.
I'm pretty good. I'm really good, actually.
Bring it.
I will challenge you.
Okay.
I'll challenge you.
No. I'm out. I'll take Will on that.
You won't take Lupe on?
Hell no.
I'll challenge you in a paper airplane flight.
Next
all day
time
long.
when I see you.
We need to do that.
Yeah, Lupe, sorry, I'm not going to do it. No way.
This is going to be a thing at the SCAs now. That I'm going to bring a ream of paper, and we're just going to be throwing airplanes. It's going to be
The airplane.
And
toss.
airplanes and boomerangs.
She's good.
There's going to be an ancillary airplane toss. $25 entry.
You got to make it into the fire.
I'll figure out a way to win it. I need the points.
You're rocking the ancillary.
The airplane toss, actually.
Yeah. I'm ranked first right now for another 4 days probably, and then I'll be way behind. But
Speaking of which, you are at first place right now, and then you did place with your wings, right? Recently?
yeah, I got second in wings in Weatherford, and that's what the points now are up to date. So I'm 1 point ahead of Tana Pendre out of Florida, and then I'm I think 4 points ahead of Kyle, or about
Kyle's
4
hitting
maybe
hard this year. Yeah.
4 or 5. Yeah. So me and Kyle had a big weekend, and I think it was in Utah, St. Joseph.
Yep. St.
St.
George.
Or St. George, sorry. Yeah, so he had a big weekend there, and I was at the awards in Amarillo, and we were live on the awards, and we were talking about ancillaries, and everyone was like, oh, wings, it's Will's on wings. My wings have been killing it, though. And then someone mentioned, you're going to need a lot more than however many points because Kyle just killed it in Utah. And I was like, oh, okay. And he had a lot of points. So, but then I got, I only turned in 2 entries, and there were 38 ancillary entries in Amarillo, and I got second and third on my wings. So it was enough to keep me, I was like 2 points ahead of him. And then I hit second in wings in Weatherford the next weekend. And then Tana Pendre cooked in Florida and hit first and second in whatever it was out there, seafood. So then she was 1 point behind me. I won't be able to hang with her for much longer. I just thought it was a fun thing to do here at the beginning of the season up until Worlds. I'm going to tap out on that. But when there's ones at state cook-offs that I happen to be at, then I'll probably try and turn in 2 entries just because.
Well, Nate Benson, he turns in like 72 entries. He cooks everything. It's crazy.
I don't know how you can, man. I don't know how you can. You only have 15 minutes to turn in, and I came from KCBS where you have to be on your timelines because you're 5 minutes before, 5 minutes after, but you're only turning in 1 meet. I tried turning in 3 wing entries in Decatur, Alabama, and it was impossible. I even had my wife there, and we were just dunking them in sauce and just throwing them into the box at the last minute just to try and turn them in. And I don't even know they were all just greasy and nasty. I don't know. It was 2 seems like a reasonable number. I don't know how people do 3. They're crazy. But
that's the thing
the
is that
most
Nate
I've ever
does a
did.
whole bunch. Nate and Lupe, who is Jerry's wife, both do ancillaries, and they kill it. So then we have you on, Nate, real quick. Let's talk about the ancillaries a little bit. What goes into planning those for you?
Usually, like right now, I'm going through the process of vetting what I'm going to do at, my next comp here in, I guess, 4 weeks ish. And I just, like seafood and tacos, and I usually come up with like 5 or 6 ideas and try and whittle them down. And when I'll do 2 for an entry, it's because I couldn't decide between 2 different ones.
That's the deciding factor, not to just get more points on the board. It's just because I have to put these 2 in.
Yeah.
I also know you like to make fancy words for basic things. That help?
Like,
can you give us an example, Rusty?
What do you call sponge cake, Nate?
an entremet, but it's more than a
sponge
sponge cake.
It's
It's filled with mousse. It's a French Twinkie, okay?
It's there you go. That's even better. See, now you get your French and your Twinkie. That's a perfect mold. That's both worlds, man. No, but you kill it on that too. So are you going to hit that pretty hard this year too? You're doing every ancillary, or?
I don't think I'm going to do the ribs that are scheduled, I think, for still days. I hate ribs.
I'll give you a recipe.
Okay. I'll hit you up.
Nate's in.
Nate has this famous hatred for ribs, which is hilarious because ribs are literally the top 3 foods in the earth. So it's like someone saying they hate sunlight and they're just like, oh, I hate going out in the daytime, you know? It's kind of weird, but
let me guess, like pancakes are up there with you too.
Oh man, I
those
forgot
too.
about that. Nate, we can't talk about this, man. We cannot talk about this. He doesn't like pancakes.
Whoa.
That's like
Not a
not
big
having
pancake
crepes, though.
person either.
That's like what? Will, you don't like pancakes either?
I'm
you a
not a big
waffle guy?
panc-
Listen to me,
not a
guys.
crepes.
I'm not a big waffle. I just
Oh my god.
baked goods in general, I think.
Can't do it.
Sweet breakfast foods for me. No, I'd rather have savory.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That's a severe behavioral disorder on both of your guys' part.
This is the only thing we agree on right now, Rusty.
Right? Jerry, please tell me you like waffles.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good Lord.
No good.
Okay, if you go get me like a waffle love waffle, yeah, I'll go
Oh.
for that. But just the stuff out of your house, no thanks.
I'll cook you a waffle, knock your pants off.
Oh, that's a challenge.
If you can get me to admit I like it,
Next time we go to a comp, Minnie, I'll bring my waffle maker and it's on. We'll make breakfast.
Okay,
Oh man.
okay.
So,
April 10th.
Jerry, your wife does ancillaries, right? Is that kind of the deal, or do you help out with those?
She does most of it. I have helped her here and there. Like when she did burgers, I cooked the patty for her, and for the wings where she got third this last one, I was running the fire on my PK trying to get her oil hot.
Can I be honest though? And I'm dead serious when I say this. One of the biggest reasons I don't do ancillaries anymore is because Lupe cooks the best ancillaries I've ever had in my life, and I've had millions, and she is yet to win one. That is one of the biggest reasons why. Because how is that even possible? Like Nate's cooked some really good food, and he's won, granted. But man, some of that food I've had of hers was just unreal. And
She walks.
well, yeah,
but
she gets
doesn't win,
calls,
yeah.
but she doesn't
Yeah.
win. And but the thing is, I just don't understand. Especially, I don't get it.
Right.
I don't get
She
it.
told me that the other day. They told me that, and it blew me away.
That's
They'd never
crazy,
won.
right?
Yeah.
And I tried to go through my head, and yeah, it just blows me away.
Fun fact about Jerry and Lupe, they both like Wu-Tang. Just letting you know.
You take the good or the bad, I guess. You take the waffles and you take the Wu-Tang, I guess. There's just no.
So we have it on cue, so whenever Anthony walks by, we play it.
Just play the Wu-Tang. Oh,
Yeah, that's his song whenever he walks through.
That's all. Every time
So
I'm around
Lupa's
him.
gonna start.
Mhm.
Lupa's gonna start. She's now a member of the SCA, so she'll start building her points under her name.
Oh, cool. Well, hopefully she wins one. Gosh, because I don't think anyone deserves it more than her. Like she should be on the top 10. And I'm not joking.
Serious.
I'm not, because I love Lupe. She's awesome, but I'm not saying that just because she deserves it. She's like the Utah Jazz in 1997, right? They should have
Oh.
beat. They should have beat the Bulls, and they should have had the World Championship. That's just how it should have been, and it was robbed and it was taken from them. It was like
I'll be honest.
the same.
I'll be honest.
in the rain.
Lupe scares me as much as Kyle.
No joke.
Right. Loopy, I know you're there. Tell us a little bit about the process of coming up with your ideas on how to build your ancillaries.
She's basically eating salad.
She's still eating salad.
Hi, everybody.
Who says hi, though?
Okay.
Just having her salad. All right. Well,
But she's going to take it a little more serious. She's been talking about it during the drive.
if she's taking it a little bit more serious, I'm going to go to every comp just to eat the food. Kind of like I followed bands in my teens. That's what I'm going to do.
You're just going to stand on the sideline?
Rusty, you cooking? Hell no, man. I'm going to cook. Yeah. Eat Lupe's ancillary. That's all I'm here for.
I'm going to start setting up in their tent so I can eat more of her ancillary.
I know, right? Okay, so coming back to steak a little bit, going to the Worlds and this new points chase. I guess this question's more for Will, because we on the West Coast, Nate and Jerry, this is going to help the most. And I know we talked a little bit about this on the previous podcast, but I want to know, Will, does it affect your, how you're going at it? Is that something that makes you more comfortable searing now because you don't have to hit so many points to get the points chase?
For me, it doesn't matter because I'm not going to be chasing points. So I think that if you're going to sear, it's more or less what we kind of talked about on the last podcast is people are not willing to feel like they're risking their golden ticket by searing. And that's what you asked Jerry. And he said, well, maybe when I get my golden ticket and I feel a little more comfortable, then he might do it, when he can relax a little. I'm not worried about getting my golden ticket. I know I'm going to get my golden ticket. So I'll start throwing it all out there, immediately just to test it out. So one thing, I just don't put as much of an emphasis on winning my golden ticket because they always have at-large bids for points too. And there's so many contests and so many opportunities to go win a golden ticket. And it passes down to 10th that towards the end of the year, I think there were 6 contests I did at the end of last year where the ticket went unclaimed. So you have the opportunities. It's not like you have to get first place with this year. Towards the end of the season, especially, you just got to hit with it and then you can get a golden ticket with it. But I will say where I was before the podcast that we did, I hadn't cracked a 47 in appearance on the seared. My last 2 seared steaks I turned in, I got a 49 in appearance on both. So I don't know if it's just because the judges were all prime judges or if they're just used to seeing them more or what it is, but I'm starting to notice a increase in the appearance scores on my seared steaks. So the way they did the points race and they changed it to where it's going to be your top 15, I think was great. I think it's needed because then it just removes the factor of, well, it's just whoever's going to drive the most, travel the most. There's still some stuff that I think they could do, with it being brand new and them doing it the way that they're doing it. I think there's still some kinks to work out. And like the tiebreaker, I think is if 2 people are tied for points, I think the tiebreaker is like highest average cook or something. And I think it should just be, it's just my personal opinion, should just be whoever finishes the most first place wins. And then you can go to second place wins if in some way 2 people are tied for number of first place wins, but I don't think that's ever happened. So you could just say whoever won the most first place finishes instead of making a tiebreaker say like the highest average cook, because it's nice for them to do the points race where you only have to do like your top 15 for say, but like you've had 5 contests in the Pacific Northwest already, and there's fantastic cooks in the Pacific Northwest. Don't get me wrong. I'm friends with some of them, but it's nothing against them. It's just, you've had 5 contests this year where they haven't had to cook against more than 20 people. I haven't cooked against less than 20 people in ancillaries this year. And every comp I go to in steak, I haven't cooked against less than 48 people this year. And I've cooked in a lot of contests. So it's just a numbers game. I mean, the cooks that are cooking in the region that I'm in are going to have a lower average for the most part because we more people just show up to the cooks. And it's not, it's not the fault of the people that live in the regions where the cooks aren't showing up, but those cooks up there specifically, there were limits put on them. So it wasn't that cooks weren't showing up. It's that there were caps on them. So if you cap in a contest at 20 cooks or 25 cooks, then it almost seemingly stacks the deck in your favor a little bit. But
that's why I'm heading up to Lene Oxley's part of the woods.
Right. And I had a cook.
There.
There was a cook, a DB180 cook, and he was going to come cook. Come cook in either Amarillo or one of the two. And then as soon as he saw that there was a comp in Oregon or something post, and at first they posted as an 18 team limit, he immediately booked a flight for that and then withdrew from the other one to go up there. So then he just flew up there and he got second and fifth. So, I mean, it's just, you can't hate the players. You just kind of hate the game a little on those things, because if I was chasing points and there were two contests and one of them had 18 people and one of them had 65, it's a pretty easy decision on, and you get the same number of points. In that 18 team comp, the person that gets first place gets 11 points. The same as whoever, the people that won this weekend against 150 to 200 cooks got 11 points. So you have some cooks beating 140 cooks and getting getting 11 points, and some cooks beating 17 and getting 11 points. So it's just things like that where I think with this test, them changing that point system like that, I do think it was needed, and I do think it's better system already, immediately a better system than what it was. I just think that they're going to have some bumps along the way, which you always are, and you're not going to be able to make everybody happy. That'll never happen. It's just a good test phase, and it's nice to see some of these things happen. I'm just using that as an example too. I have a lot of friends that cook in the Pacific Northwest, and there are a lot of excellent cooks, even cooks that are coming into DB182. And I like all those guys too. And it's not them. I'm not saying there's no good cooks up there. There are plenty of good cooks up there, and they were down there representing this weekend, and some of them made the final round too. So it's not that, it's just a pure numbers game. When you see stuff like that happen, I'm just look at like the way that they have the tiebreaker laid out right now. And it doesn't make much sense to me, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think the sport is heading that direction anyways. The Northwest hasn't really been big in like the barbecue scene, but the SCA ball is rolling, and I think it's just spreading throughout the nation. Like even like upper state, like New York and Maine, you don't see a lot of stuff like that, but it's starting to get bigger and bigger. And I think these 20 team not going to be a thing in 2-3 years. I think.
Well, look at
nationwide. It's just going to be huge.
Last year. Yeah. It got better towards the end of the year, but we were cooking. Right. Our first contest had 15 people in it.
Yeah.
And it was like that for a long time. And now I had to go sign up for Lehigh because it's capped at 50 and it's almost sold out. It's like we grew that quickly in that short amount of time. So I think if you're going to try this, you better do it fast, because I don't think it's going to be around very much longer.
Yeah. In the Northwest, you're going to be 40, 50 teams deep quickly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, and I don't think when you guys had 15 teams showing up, though, you weren't capping it at 15, right?
No.
It was just people trying to get into it.
That's the difference.
Yeah, they capped that because of COVID concerns, if I remember correct. So
right, yeah. So I think it's going to balance out probably. It's just one of those things where you have to look at, because there was some capped contests coming out at the end of last season, which was kind of a catalyst to why they decided to change the points race to begin with, to my understanding. But there were some just pop-up comps where they're like, all right, we want to throw a double and a triple, and we're only going to, we want to limit it to 20 teams. And then as soon as it hit the SCA site, it was instantly filled. And you have people texting people saying, hey, we're about to hit this. You need to sign up quick. People were trying to manipulate the system and how the points race was working by trying to stack the odds in their favor. So it's the one thing about SCA, I will say, is Brett and Ken do what they think's best for it, and they listen to what the cooks have to say. And it's only going to get better from here, and it's only going to get bigger from here. And a lot, like myself included, people want to see what's best for the SCA and want to see it continue to grow. And it is one big family. Like, you don't have everybody just like at the World Championship this weekend, you could see too, it's just like, it doesn't matter what team you're sponsored by. It doesn't matter, where you cook out of. Everyone's just happy to see everybody, and it just seems more inviting and friendly, you know, where it's competitive, but just there's not a lot of that like backstabbing type stuff or things that you would see go on in other type stuff. It's just, at least I don't experience that.
I think it's probably time to announce my new SCA series. It's called Rusty's Golden Ticket Series. It's limited to 15 people. And the first question is, how many contests have you placed in? And if the answer is anything but 0, then you're not allowed to come to the contest.
Oh, man.
Boom.
Yeah.
Now just hold 15 of them.
I know, right? Boom. That's how I roll. Right. So, Jerry, someone who's chased, these points, I wouldn't say you chase points in KCBS, really. Is that fair? But what's it like? Are you looking? Is that kind of something you're interested in? Because in KCBS, you kind of had to, but now you don't have to anymore. Was that something on your radar for a while, is to chase these SCA points? And is that something you still want to do?
Well, it wasn't on my radar because I saw that it was an impossible thing for anybody out here to make a splash in the points race. But now with the 15 contest, or them taking the top 15, I mean that changes it up. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll definitely have at least 15 contests out here. So it's going to be interesting.
Well, we have 6 here in Utah, right?
6 and adding more.
Yeah. So
there's 6 more. We had the one in St. George, and there's 6 more.
And then
we're gonna have a lot of doubles, like the Vegas and Arizona, and then Simi Valley.
Yeah, Simi Valley's got at least 3 more. If I saw
is
that.
Richfield one going on this year?
And we're update on Richfield. Hopefully that's happening. They're just dealing with different permits from the state and different stuff like that. But they're still looking at that as a quad. So wow.
And it'd be nice to see more get up there, or you guys have more up there.
It would be great. And Richfield's amazing. That town is so great. It's so cool to just hang out in there. Small town Utah. It's a pretty park. But I did talk to them about the sear idea that Nate had, is making that 4th stake a sear, period. So that's on the table, and they're totally down for that. So that'll happen, guys, if you're on the fence on the sear bit.
So make me fly up there.
I know, that's the idea, is get the Will Colliers of the world to come out and hang out in Richfield, Utah with us for a little while.
You just have to come pick me up from the airport
or the Chevron,
or we'll
hook you up with whatever you need, Will.
I want to do that. I want to fly up there. It's just crazy to me because you guys are like, that's why they needed to change it to the 15, because like Jerry said, looking at the schedule and what you guys are saying, I think there's 6 here. There's 36 contests in Oklahoma alone this year. And then I can draw a 5-hour circle around my house, and I can cook in over 80 to, I could probably get to 100 contests without going over 5 hours away.
Wow. And here I am going, dang, Bakersfield only 9 hours.
Bakersfield around the corner.
Right.
Let's go.
Yeah. So I think that is good. I'm glad to see that. I mean, I'm happy to see that they did that points race thing and changed it the way that they did, because that's not your guys' fault. And that's not, anybody Pacific Northwest. It's not their fault. The people on the East Coast and Pennsylvania and stuff, they were having similar issues at the beginning of last year. And then the reps there, Angel and Keith Todd, really took it by the horns and tried to start pumping out contests. And they're going to have, I think they're going to have quite a few more contests this year. I was talking to some of the guys on the New Jersey Steak Mob that are, they are DB180 guys too. And they were saying that they're going to have a lot of opportunities, over 30 opportunities to cook this year, whereas in previous years that wasn't possible.
So Nate, you got your golden ticket already for this coming up World Championship. What is your strategy going forward? Is it something that interests you to try and get that 15, or are you just kind of like, I got my golden ticket?
I'm trying to get the 15. Yeah.
Okay. So you come to Bakersfield with me then? Don't just go. Come on.
I'm still working on that. I've got another commitment that weekend.
What's the plan then? Is just to kind of travel where you can and get the 15, or are you just trying to do as much as humanly possible?
April I'll be doing. So I've got 4 already this year. April I'll be doing Lehigh, the double in Phoenix. And did you say that Vegas is a double?
No, it's not. It's not a double.
Okay. So there's 4.
No,
I don't think so. Christy Vanover.
When I read
that's what I thought I saw. I thought it was only a single, but so I'll be hitting Vegas. So that should be 4 cooks in in April, and then we'll look from then on. I think might be a double in Simi in May, and then there's one here in May. So
for sure that I know of. And Jerry, what about you? If you get your golden ticket, is that kind of what you're going to do? Is just you're going to try for that 15, or are you going to try and just do whatever, just take a back seat and just have fun?
I think I'll do as many as I can. Hopefully it's 15 or more. I already did 3, I think, and I didn't do so well, so I want to get back out there and get a golden ticket, hopefully. And
is Lupe choking on a salad?
One. Yeah.
Is she okay? Does she need medical assistance?
She's all right.
Just checking. That's good. So now we talk a lot about doubles, and I did my did I say I did my first double? I can't remember. I don't do very many doubles, and now that's kind of the norm, like Will said, but it was kind of a challenge. Nate, we'll start with you. What are some of the strategy you use to get the doubles, kind of get in the mindset? And because, you're doing now 4 stakes. So let's just pretend you're doing are you doing the same thing? I know Jerry did a different rub. And are you doing the same thing, both stakes, and are you cooking all 4? How does that look? What are some advice you can give people doing their first double? Because it's kind of taxing.
So the first double I did, it was my second contest, I think, maybe third. And one of the considerations is, this was back when I was using like Blue Bag Kingsford, and I had a hard time keeping my grill hot between the 2 competitions. Basically, you need to practice at home keeping your grill hot for that basically 3-hour span. As far as flavor profiles, some of them I've done different things, like I seared half a steak in Arizona, and I just grilled a steak in Arizona. It just depends on my mood, I guess.
If you're going to change it up at all. So what's some tips to keep that fire going? Because in Simi, that was my challenge, was trying to get that fire maintained in that window. How did you, because you cooked on a PK at that time. So it might change for you, but with the PK, whatever.
With them grills, yeah.
French.
That's
for Nate.
Two of these buttheads don't even like waffles. You know what? So
as soon as I finished the first cooking in where were we at? Simi. I pulled the grill grates and added about a half chimney of unlit coals on top of the coals, and so
just straight up on top of the fire already.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Just let them get going, and then it was fine. Stayed the same temperature.
Jerry, how about you? What is some strategy you have doing these doubles?
Well, I know the first ones were during hot days, and I didn't have problem keeping it hot. And this last one in Simi Valley, I got confident and I didn't add any more coals because I stood up and I started my fire late for the first steak. They switched the turn-in times, and I just wasn't paying attention, and so I figured I started late, so I shouldn't have an issue with the second steak. But it was cold and windy, and I had troubles getting the heat up. So I'm glad that happened, because over here at the one yesterday, I was ready and I added more charcoal. But it cooks a lot different in the wind.
But when you put on like raw charcoal, like Nate does, it kind of can get away from you. Do you cook it? You cook your charcoal. Do you light it in a chimney, or do you kind of put it over the top, just plain without having it going yet?
So yesterday I just poured a bunch on top of the lit ones. And what's good about the grill I use, it's the Hasty Bake Ranger, and so you can raise or lower it, the firebox, and until you get the right grill temp. So when I did that, and that when I was ready to put on my practice steak, I remember it being a little hot, so I lowered it, just 5 minutes later was perfect.
Because I need to practice that because that was my biggest problem. But with you, Will, you're like you said, you're doing a sear and then you're doing a grill. So have you? Okay.
Hang on, guys.
We lost Jerry, guys. He's
Oh,
no
man.
longer with us. Lupe died choking on her salad, and now he's just wrecked his car.
I can hear you, you know?
She's like, I can hear you.
He's having technical difficulties.
That's
Hello,
fine.
I'm back.
It's okay. The Teslas, you know.
Yeah.
It's first world problems,
Yeah,
Jerry. It's all right.
The car took over.
So Will, you're doing a little bit of both. That's kind of probably easier for you because you could probably do your sear first, not your sear first, but your grill first, and then your sear second. That's pretty simple for you, right?
Yeah, either one. If I'm doing ancillaries, it'd probably be easier to do the seared first because I could just, put a skillet on and get it hot, and then I can mess with the grill later. But since that's what I'm going to do this year, I haven't really done it except at the last double in Amarillo. I did that. I turned in a sear and then a grilled, and then I did it at the World Championship. But yeah, last year, since I cooked mainly doubles, I cook on a Ranger as well. So with my Ranger, I could fill it up and keep it really hot. And then it's kind of like a drum smoker almost. And I'll lower the basket down in between and shut the dampers down. And then when it gets close to time to cook again, I'll open up the door, open up the lid, and then just get oxygen infused in there, shake the basket, and then I can get it back up to temp usually. So most of my friends that cook on PKs, they end up just dumping in between contests and just reloading with full charcoal. So they take 2 chimneys and then, after that first cook, they just go ahead and dump their ash, and then they light 2 more chimneys and just start all over like a normal cook. So,
And that's my plan because I'm not going to put. It was too variable for me, so I'm just going to start again. But I'm not have to worry about that anymore.
Right?
No, I just turn it on and I'm good to go.
yeah.
Best thing about the sear.
Are you going to
it.
bring out your old Coleman stove?
No,
just do it right over
Camp Chef.
Camp Chef fire.
I gotta get you, Camp Chef. Get you that oven. Makes it way easy.
Makes it super simple. All right, guys, one more round. What's something you can impart to people? Nate, we'll start with you. And just a tip that I use just real quick when it comes to doubles is that I have if I'm not doing a sear, I'll have the grill grates, and I only use half the grill grate. And so for my first round, I'll use my clean grill grate and I'll just toss it, not in the garbage, just put off to the side. And then I have a new half one because I only use half, and I'll put that on, and that's clean and ready to go. So it's not I have to sit there and mess with my grill grates at all. So that's my tip for the doubles. Nate, what's one thing that you would tell someone coming to you and asking you how would they get better at steak cooking? What would you tell them?
Come up with a system. I mean, I'm about as scattered and happy-go-lucky as anybody, but when just for example, on Sunday, I just cooked. I didn't really think about it. I just did it. I didn't worry about, that we had all these great teams there. I just cooked like my system and let my muscle memory just take over. Practice enough that you can just cook and you don't have to think. I think that's the biggest thing.
That works for me because I'm not doing a lot of thinking. Ever. Jerry, what about you? You're just kind of the opposite. You are very Dewey Decimal, to use a better term. I'm sure there's one out there, but when it comes to your cooking, what's something that you would tell someone who's coming to you saying, I want to get better at steak?
Well, pretty much the same as what Nate said, because usually I have a timeline and it's all in full detail, but I didn't do that at the Simi Valley. So I thought, I've done these enough times and I haven't had a problem. The last, whatever double before Simi Valley, I remember I didn't have to glance too many times at my timeline. So I got complacent and didn't take one. I would advise to have a plan, a timeline written down, just so that if you could keep checking and make sure you don't miss a step, because some things you do have to do for the second steak at the same time as when you're either cooking or doing something to your first steak. And if you want to keep that consistency on both steaks, then you gotta find a way to mesh the two, and also to just watch for the weather, because and be prepared if just like me, if it's a colder day, windy day, be ready for your grill to not perform the same way. Or also the other way, if it's going to be a really hot day, then be mindful of how much charcoal you're putting into your grill, especially if you don't have a Ranger where you can raise and lower the fire to adjust. That way you're ready.
Yeah, I need to do stuff like that. My list taking sucks, and that's what I think honestly would be the game changer for me, is keeping a detailed list, because I just get so into what I'm doing, or someone comes into the tent and, hey, so you're like off, and I don't have anything to look down at. And so I get kind of off my mark, but, and then, practicing the elements as much as you can. That's huge. See, I'm fortunate enough to have like a Hollywood set in my backyard. So I have a snow maker with the fans to make it blizzardy. I have wind makers. I have the sun if I want it in the winter time to make it, wherever I can make a jungle.
Gosh.
What?
That's another thing that I've started doing is if I
Making
plan to
jungles.
do it, no, if I plan to do a test cook one day and it's horrible weather, I still cook it.
Yeah.
Where I used to just, it's bad weather, I don't want to do it.
Right. I've literally planned it out though. No joke. Like what was it, last week? It was supposed to snow. And I'm like, okay, thawing out the steaks for Thursday because it's supposed to snow. I'm going to go cook it in the snow, because you never know. And if it's windy, which where I'm at, it's windy all the time. But what about you, Will? Someone comes up to you and says, man, I want to get better at steak. What's the advice you give to them?
I guess the contractual answer I'd have to give is to take a class at Barbecue Champs. There's
Yep.
a guy named Will Collier gives the okay one, I suppose, but no. Like Jerry said, like I'm pretty open to helping people, even if like they're not a sponsored cook. I just want to see people do well. And the whole thing with the SCA is first time cooks win all the time. It's not like KCBS. KCBS, at least in my region, it's usually the same 6 to 8 teams that win in all the contests. So you don't see that in SCA as much. So there shouldn't be a shock factor, a celebrity factor. It shouldn't matter who's out there cooking, because you have a chance against anybody in the world. Whenever you go out there and you cook a steak, you're cooking one piece of meat, and you can perfect that at your house. And then you can go out there and just don't get intimidated, have fun, and then just do you. Don't let what other people are doing around you impact what you want to do. It's people get into their heads too much, and they let other people influence the decisions that they make. But cook the way that you want to cook, and then turn in what you want to turn in, so that you don't have any regrets on it. So I try not to have too many regrets whenever I leave a contest. And that's where I go with the sear and the grill. I'm just like, people are like, oh, you're going to regret it. And I'm like, no, I won't, because that's my decision. And if I make that decision, I'm going to do what I want to do. And if it doesn't do well, then it is what it is. I'm not going to beat myself up over, well, what if this, what if that? So whatever you want to do in a steak contest, if you think you cook the best steak ever and you're cooking it on a black top griddle or whatever, then go cook it and turn it in. Just see what happens. It's out there. You're fun. And it really is cool to see when you see a lot of new cooks winning and walking up there, like what's the all-time record for number of wins in a season in SCA? I think it's 9, Terry Rohn. And that's he cooked over 80 contests that year, I think. So you're not, how many KCBS GCs would Clark Crew win if he cooked 80 contests in a year?
79.
I would say over 60. So it's just it's one of those things. It's just like that's the cool thing about it, is there's so many great, products out there. Grill Grates is a great product, Yeah, we like searing, but it's still a great product, and it makes grilling a steak a pretty easy thing to do. So you don't have to be a super talented chef or anything like that to just go out there and try it. If you like competing, it's pretty cheap in the overall expensive competition things. It's not the cheapest hobby, but it's not the most expensive hobby either. So $150 and you can go win 1,000 if you turn in a steak that the judges just love that day. Go give it a shot and just do what you want to do and have fun with it. And there's always people out there willing to help new cooks out, including myself.
100%. And I can vouch for Will. He's always there. Any question you might have, he's more than willing to help out and answer. But you know what, guys, we appreciate you guys all three of you guys coming on today and hanging out with us and talking about the SCA and kind of wrapping this thing up. Of course, we'll talk more about SCAs. We'll have more SCA cooks on as we go down the road, but I think we kind of hit our limit for the next few months. But again, if you guys are out there, you can Nate and Jerry, you can follow on the Instagrams and the Facebooks, Jerry Aguilar, and then there's Burnin and Lootin for Jerry. Is that right, Jerry? Is that where you're at?
Instagram is BNL_BBQ.
And
then Facebook, Burnin and Lootin, or my name, Jerry Aguilar.
Yep. And then are you going to be doing any classes, Jerry, coming up? Or are you kind of not going to do that this year?
I was planning to do one in SoCal soon, but I got to see.
Well, if you do, let us know because I will promote the crap out of that because your class is the best. And then you can follow Nate at
UJBBQ on Instagram for Uncle Jesse's barbecue.
He does.
Oh, he muted himself.
No, that's a pro, man. That's how you do it. Is you mute and unmute yourself. And then Will, you can find you at where's the best places to check you out?
My personal profile on Facebook, just Will Collier. Add me as a friend, and you can feel free to PM me anytime if you need anything, have any questions. But Deadbird Barbecue -DB180 is the name of the Facebook page. Instagram is at Deadbird BBQ, and I have a personal Instagram, but I'm not on it very much. If you send messages to the Deadbird BBQ Instagram, then I'll get them. But I'm not as good at Instagram, so I'm not on there very much. But I try to be.
That's cool. And I want to, maybe you guys haven't tried a good waffle, so literally look into that. And so it's that makes me sad. I'm sorry. Man. That makes me sad.
I don't dislike them. They're not my favorite.
That's just weird. And then Nate double downs with the rib. Sorry, I'll never get over that. I apologize.
Well, I'm getting a recipe from Will, and that's going to rock it.
I'm sending it to him right now.
But we do appreciate the time, you guys.
Sure.
You're three of the best cooks out there. You guys are doing such a great job on them. I mean, just killing it. Nate's already got his ticket coming in to the year, and I'm sure that Jerry and Will are gonna. You're still looking for yours, right, Will? But that's going to happen pretty quickly, I'm pretty sure. So cool, guys. We appreciate the time you're taking and the insight that you've given us, and hopefully everyone's learned a few things, and hopefully we can do these little round tables a little bit more often. I think they're fun.
Yeah, definitely.
But you guys, thanks again for coming in and hanging out with us.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And Lupe too. Yeah. Sometimes. How's she doing? Is she okay?
Are they going to do paper?
She's good.
Is she good?
Good.
She wants to do the challenge with the paper airplane.
Oh man, it's on.
She's in.
April 10th. It's going down.
Yeah, that's right. I'm serious. It's a heart attack.
I'm bringing
guys.
paper, everything.
I'll bring the paper. We'll do the airplane challenge. It's happening.
Oh no.
She's
going to bring her own.
No, that's not how it works.
Everybody gets the same piece of paper, same steaks.
That's right.
Same piece of paper.
We'll have paper selection before.
Paper selection.
Well,
it has to be in
that one has a little bit of a bad corner.
It's funny.
I like the paper. That paper has good pulp. I'm going to grab that one. Look at the marbling on that. That's got some brown in it still. Let's get that one.
It has the natural look.
It's got some wood. All right, guys. We'll let you go, Jerry.
Thanks, guys.
Travel safe, and everyone else enjoy the rest of your night. And thanks again.
Thanks, guys.
Well,
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Bye.